What do you think is Sweden's fastest train? It's not the tilting X2000 or the modern MTRX. To get our answer, we have to head further north, and it's really not what you'd expect. I'm going to be taking the Norrtåg up to Haparanda on a brutal Arctic high-speed railway. Join me as I check out Sweden's fastest train. Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm in Luleå in the north of Sweden, and I'm going to be travelling even further north on board Norrtåg up to Haparanda on the border with Sweden and Finland. So let's go. This is Luleå, the largest city in Norrbotten county up here in the very far north of Sweden, and home to a major steel industry as well as the University of Technology. Let's head down to Luleå Centralstation, the larger of the two stations in the city. The station forecourt is decorated with a Christmas tree, and with snow all around, it feels very wintry. Anyway, time to head inside the station. In here you can find not a lot. There's no ticket office or even a ticket machine. Though I suppose you can't expect too much when a station only has a small handful of departures per day. My train will be number 7188, the 1306 to Haparanda. Just outside the station you can find some sidings. These host the carriages of V, used on journeys to Narvik in Norway, as well as the incredible sleeper train to Stockholm. There are also two restaurants, a burger place as well as a Turkish grill. Not bad for such a small station. By the station approach you can find a solitary iron ore hopper wagon. Built over 100 years ago, this static exhibit now symbolises Luleå's role in the iron ore export industry, as well as steel production at the port of Luleå. This cargo travels down the incredible Malmbanan from Kiruna, but that's a topic for another video. Looks like my train is arriving from Haparanda, so let's head out to the platform and have a look. So this is it, Sweden's fastest train of all time, and I bet it's really not what you expected. But this two-car regional train right up at the northern tip of Sweden holds the record for the country's fastest train, and we'll go into why this is later on. This unit is a Swedish Type X52, part of the Bombardier Regina family of trains, which are very common in the country. The service is operated by Norrtåg, a brand owned by the local regional authorities, with staffing contracted out to V, the national operator of Norway. One of the first things you'll notice when boarding these trains is the 2+3 seating layout. But this shouldn't be too bad, as the train is so empty. However, I spoke to the train staff and found out that the former first class area at the rear of the train is available for all passengers to use. First class is in a 2+2 seating layout. These layouts may appear cramped on the face of it, but when you remember the Bombardier Regina is about 50 centimeters wider than your average European train, the extra capacity does make sense. It's also worth mentioning that SJ, the national operator of Sweden, has some of these trains too, but with an interior more suited for long distance work. Let me know if you want to see a video on this train. Today's route will take us from Luleå, heading north to Boden, before turning east along the Bay of Bothnia right up to the Finnish border at Haparanda. This journey is scheduled to take 1 hour and 57 minutes to travel the 174 kilometres or about 108 miles. We depart from Luleå Centralstation on time at 13:06 for a winter's journey on Sweden's fastest train. Our train accelerates fast, but we don't get up to today's maximum speed just yet. That comes towards the end of the journey, after Kalix. For the time being, we'll be making frequent stops on the way to Boden, as part of the local commuter service in the region. The first of these is Norrtåg. Located in the northwest of Luleå, the station is a handy way to access the Luleå Technical University, just a kilometre away. After about 20 minutes, we're on the approach to Boden Centralstation. The city has a military history, with the Boden fortress located about 5 kilometres southeast of the centre. This was built in the early 20th century to defend against a possible attack from Russia. Boden station is a beautiful construction, consisting of a quaint wooden building. On this, the sign proclaims we are 1,094 kilometres from Stockholm. You can see why the sleeper train takes so long. The city itself actually started life as a railway junction, serving various routes here in Norrbotten County, and is the northernmost major junction in the country. In 1888, part of the line between Kiruna and Luleå opened to iron ore traffic. This was shortly followed in 1894 by the line towards Stockholm. Finally, the line to Haparanda fully opened sometime later in 1915. As we leave behind the last sign of civilization for a while, we head out into the Arctic wilderness. So let's take a look around the interior of Sweden's fastest train. Starting off with the seat, of course. As I mentioned, X First Class is in a 2+2 layout, but the seats are still plenty spacious. Now on to comfort. This is an area in which these units really exceed, with some outstanding padding making the seat really comfy. I'd even go as far to say that this is the best seat I've ever had on a regional train. The seats are covered with various names. I'm not sure who these people are, so please tell me in the comments if you know. As for legroom, well, it's simply fantastic. Just look at all this space. Oh, and you may have noticed this typically Scandinavian feature. Instead of bins, all seats have a few plastic bags. On the seat in front, you can find a small storage pocket, ideal for keeping your smaller items. Above this, you can find the seat back table. This is a well-sized wooden design with a smart metallic cup holder. Every seat has a pair of adjustable armrests, possible again thanks to the train's increased width. Beside the seat, you'll find the recline lever. Simply push it forward and slide the seat as much as needed. This made the seat extremely comfortable. Up top, you can find a bright reading light, one for each seat, as well as a few coat hooks. Most annoyingly though, this train has power sockets on the ceiling. I really don't get this, as it just leaves your device awkwardly hanging in front of your face. Still, overall this is a fantastic interior. It looks super smart, but also lives up to the aesthetic with great comfort. Now changing our focus from the warm and cozy train to the sub-zero scenes outside. Most of our journey is spent weaving through beautiful snowy forests. Amongst these, you can also expect to see frozen rivers and lakes, serving as a reminder of just how cold it can get up here. For example, Luleå often sees temperatures of -20 degrees Celsius. This makes it all the more impressive that they were able to build any railways at all, let alone a high-speed line. But this is where it starts getting really cool, if you'll pardon the pun. You may notice flickering outside the window. This is because of the frozen overhead electric equipment causing sparks. If you can't quite see it here, then don't worry, it gets a lot more clear as the sun continues to go down. While we wait for that though, let's have a look around the rest of the interior on this 2-car high-speed train. Here's a better look at second class. Whilst of course not quite as comfy as first class, it still has tables, armrests and comfy reclining seats. What surprised me is the presence of catering, in the form of a small buffet counter. And considering we're in Sweden, the food and drink prices were actually pretty reasonable too. This is also where you can buy tickets if you haven't done so already. Moving further along, we can find this very strange looking contraption. This is actually a low floor section, with a rotating lift, fittingly located next to the wheelchair space and an accessible toilet. As for the toilet, it was in a good condition. Soap was provided, and thankfully the tap water was nice and hot. Paper towels are available to dry your hands. Finally, let's take a quick look at the free onboard Wi-Fi. I've got to say, given we're in the middle of nowhere, the connection speeds certainly weren't bad. We've now arrived into our next station, Kalix. This is the newest station on today's route, only opening to passenger service in mid-2021, despite the freight-only railway to Kalix having opened some 60 years prior. As we depart, we join the new high-speed line through the region, opening in 2012 to provide a faster and better route towards Haparanda. This is where we can accelerate to our maximum speed of 200 km/h. This is the fastest we will go on the journey today, as despite the line being capable of 250 km an hour and the train able to go even faster still, regulations only permit this speed. Here you should be able to catch a good look at the sparking pantograph, and maybe even see the glittery effect from the frosted over grass. By one of the driver's cabs, there's a plaque commemorating this train's historic status, giving details of its national record. I've translated the sign into English, so pause the video if you want to read it. I was lucky enough to be able to film out of the rear cab on this journey, affording me unrivaled views of this Arctic high-speed railway line. Being this far north in winter, it's already starting to get dark. This is despite it not even being 3 PM yet. So now on to how much this journey costs. I simply turned up and bought my ticket from the buffet counter upon boarding. This cost me 175 Swedish krona. Personally, I think that considering Sweden is a generally expensive country, this is great value for money. It's also worth mentioning that you can even get a nominal discount of around 15% if you choose to book online, making it even cheaper. We are now on the approach to Haparanda, the station itself being an interesting sight. Of course, the station has served a historic role in the past, being the frontier between Sweden and Finland just a short ride away. Border control was carried out here in the station, different gauges necessitating the need to change trains. Historic luggage and containers have been placed on display in the station's waiting hall, serving as a memory of a much more closed border. Nowadays, you can walk freely around the station and between the two countries, but the building remains as a symbol of the town's past. And speaking of Haparanda, we've arrived at the station on time at 15:03. After this journey, I really think that this is probably the best regional unit out there. It has fantastic comfort and facilities, and I thoroughly enjoyed the journey. But as always, I'd love to know what you thought about this trip, so don't forget to leave a comment. This was just one of many amazing journeys in Scandinavia, but for a look at one of the troublesome trains in the region, click up here now to watch my video on Denmark's disastrous IC4 trains.